Welcome, everybody, to Broadcast Team Alpha, where we are still bringing you cutting-edge conversation while exploring the quantum possibilities, and we are so going to do it again tonight. I am so excited for Augie to tell you about our guest. But before we begin, I just want to thank you. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for the chat that goes on in our lively chat room. Thank you for your super chats, and thank you for supporting our station. I really appreciate, and on behalf of Augie, we appreciate that you subscribe and hit the bell, because sometimes we do some unexpected shows, and we appreciate that you share our show with your friends or your family, because it helps our numbers go up, which they're going up, and we can get beautiful high-level guests like our guest today. So thank you so much for that. Before we get started, I'd like to invite you to the Mastermind Connection. It happens on Sunday. It's like a spiritual think tank. We get together and we decide what we would like to see manifested in the world, maybe in people, maybe in a family if somebody is sick. We helped a dog that was lost in Canada in the winter to come home by manifesting and envisioning him coming home. And the dog actually got home before our session was over. So that was just amazing. So if this is interesting to you, we would love for you to join us. Just send an email to themastermindconnection@gmail.com. Augie will send you a link, and you can just come hang out with us. We go for an hour, and then on the second hour, we talk about amazing things. And if you're craving the kind of conversation that maybe you can't have with your family or your coworkers, that conversation happens there. I want to say shout out to our friends over at the Conscious Awakening Network. We're streaming over there and on 40-something other platforms, but they have some amazing content that is not, how shall I say, what's a good word, Augie? Controlled or monitored. Yeah. So we can speak a whole lot more freely over there. So really invite you to go over there. So with any further ado, Augie, please tell us about our guests.
Yeah, and they got some of the good stuff over there because the censoring people cannot touch it.
Censoring, that's what I was looking for. Yeah, thank you.
All right, well, this is going to be so much fun because we have Heidi Hollis with us. And I probably would think most of you would know her, but for the 3 people out there that don't know her, I'm going to say something about her. And that is, she is probably one of the busiest people I know, because this show has been booked for about 2 months before she finally found an opening for it. And Heidi is known for having discovered and defined 2 otherworldly realities. And she speaks of it in her books, 2 books that she speaks of it, Shadow People and The Hatman. These phenomena exposes a bridge between UFOs, interdimensional beings, the paranormal and the spiritual, and where there is also peace and war. Folks, not everything in space is peaceful, and we're going to hear a little bit about that. Now, she has also been featured on globally on TV, the radio, like Ancient Alien and Beyond Belief with George Norrie, and a whole bunch of other high-profile platforms and shows around the world. And she is currently the host of Dark Becomes Light as #1 on iHeartRadio. And also, she's a host on Coast to Coast AM Paranormal Podcast Network. And she's an author of 8 books, deals with angels, aliens, Bigfoot, MDEs, and just about anything outside of the box again. So, welcome to the show, Heidi.
Oh, it's great to be with you both. Yeah, it's a long time coming.
Yeah.
This is good. So, no, it's my pleasure.
So
Uh,
I just need to clarify because I think it's Augie's Norwegian background. It's Heidi.
Heidi, yes.
Heidi. Okay. All right. Oh, Heidi, I'm so impressed with your background and all that you do. But just to get to know the person behind all the magic that you do, um, how did you get to here? How did you get to create all of the well, not just create, but uncover, so much that you have.
Yeah. I think sometimes people have a destiny, and sometimes we know about it, and other times we don't. I was somebody who, at first, just thought I had bad luck, and then destiny revealed itself quite literally. I was raised in a haunted house, so I had some interest in that to begin with, trying to find answers. My siblings and I just didn't know what we were dealing with, and it pulled us in different directions trying to learn. I started reading different books. My family was quite irritated having all these odd things going on in our home. So my dad built a brand new house, so nothing would have lived in there, and go there. And I started experiencing out of body experiences, poltergeist type things as well. Shared dreams with my sisters. So it was like once the negative surroundings left us, more positive and interesting things came. And went to college, and it seemed like wherever I went, odd things were going on. And I just really didn't know what the heck, what is all of this? I would have some precognitive dreams and things like that, but I would never call myself a psychic or anything like that. I just, again, I think I happen to bump into things and they happen as they happen. And I just have always had a big sense of humor where I was painfully honest about whatever it is that I'd experienced. And I was with a college friend walking in broad daylight when I saw something out of the corner of my vision, and I didn't know what I was looking at. But a few times I got a really good look at it, and it was this humongous black shadowy being. Reached our destination, turned back to go back to her home where I was staying at the time, and with her family, and get to her home. It followed us all the way back, and I'm like, look, I don't know what it is that I just saw, but I just saw this thing, and I drew what I call like a head and shoulder shadow looking being, where it kind of looks like a big hulking man with no neck, and its head is just directly connected to its shoulders. And I'm thinking my friend's gonna laugh her brains out, and I'm showing her that I just saw this thing following us, and instead she just said, "Oh, not that thing again," It's been following me since I was a kid, and goes, "Hey, Dad, look who's back." It's like, no. And I'm just like, you gotta be kidding me. Like this, you guys have seen something like this? Like I'm raised in a haunted house. I knew what ghosts look like. I've seen alien craft, and I just was blown away. I'm like, I don't know what that thing was. But long story short, I went to go upstairs to grab something from the room that I was staying at, and grab what I needed, turned around to leave, and that thing was blocking my way out of the room. So I don't know how to describe that kind of terror, but it really shook me up. And because there's so much to the story and what took place, I didn't realize, but after that point, there was a connecting factor, almost like a contagion of a sort, where I started suddenly having nightmares of giant shadowy spiders. And I didn't know there was a connection. All I know is I was waking up in the middle of the night trying to squash giant shadowy spiders. Like I'm having a nightmare, and I open my eyes and the nightmare's in the room. And it just didn't make sense to me. I'm like, what is going on here? And it just kind of went full circle for me to come to understand what was going on with these beings by way of alien contact. As odd as it all sounds, it's really kind of a connected scenario that I would have never guessed. I just know I was having a hard time dealing with the shadowy presence that didn't seem very friendly and very threatening as well. I felt like the first one that I saw that confronted me, I knew it wanted to kill me.
Wow.
Like how does our soul tell us that, you know? But it was very clear. And I knew if I ran, it was going to get me. I knew if I swung at it, it was going to get me. Like it was going to feed upon my fear. So I just closed my eyes, started saying a prayer, and walked through it. That's how I got over that thing. But then part of it kind of followed me, and I just didn't know. But the connecting force and what made itself clear to myself and my college roommate actually explain the phenomenon to me, because I didn't know where to go with it. I try to remind people, remember when I stepped forward to talk about, quote, shadow people, it's like saying I named my teddy bear something, you know, like nobody's ever heard of this before. It's like my own private word. and I'm coming onto the stage of Coast to Coast AM, you know, the biggest stage out there. I'm in school, and it was, you know, a brand new thing. I couldn't have studied this. There was nobody to talk to about this. Nobody knew what I was speaking of. So I did not get this information on my own on what these things are, where they come from, why they're here, and how to get rid of them. So that in a nutshell.
Boy, oh boy, there's 4 questions right in there.
Right. It's a lot.
Yeah, well, what are they and who are they? Well, at least I don't even own a hat, so it's not me, but who is it?
Well, that's the Hatman. Now, I made a mistake when I first introduced shadow people to the world. I thought Hatman was another shadow being, but he's not. He can blend in with the shadows, but he can also step out of the shadows. And he wears an outfit. He's got a hat. He talks. The other shadow beings do not speak. They will grumble. They might whisper things. But this guy has teeth. He has eyes, you know. He has a lot of horrible things that he says and does to people. But the shadow people, these shape-shifting black masses that could look like a shadow spider, shadow cat, shadow streaks, shadow clouds, head and shoulder looking shadow. I have them all on my website. Like they're different forms that they've been known to turn into. He is the boss over them. He does direct these things and on what they should do and why they're doing things. And to say who he is, oh, he'll tell you who he is. He'll say he's the devil himself. He will say that. He will absolutely say what he wants to do with you, how he wants to take your soul, and how he'll threaten to get you to that point, to, you know, take your own life. If you're sick, if you're down, he'll sit there and prey upon your illness. He'll create anger in a family for no good reason. He's been known to push trees into cars, and they have horrible accidents. You know, what has he not done? It's the question. But he's a horrific individual.
Wow.
Well, you must have so much light and so much to share with us here, for them to be so prevalent in your life and really want to take you out. You know?
I take it as a compliment, you know, to when I tick them off and, you know, and odd things happen, I'm like, ooh, that was a sore spot, huh? You know, so I don't get harassed as I did, you know, at one point, because I learned how to protect myself. I learned how to get rid of them and keep them at a distance. And, you know, everybody's like, well, how do you sleep at night? I'm like, usually on my right side. I have no doubts in where I stand in putting up this wall of defense, and it's not by my own ability. If there wasn't a force against something claiming to be the devil, I'd be really in bad trouble. So I'm not afraid or ashamed to say I'm Christian. And I wasn't so much. I was Christian then. I was raised Methodist. That's such a casual form of Christianity, you know. So, but I had kind of stepped away from even that because I had witnessed so many odd things. That was more real to me. And to be in the midst of having some horrible things coming around, you'd think I would have, you know, been more wise. But it took for me and my college friend, who was super religious, Pentecostal, and me going, don't come and talk to me about that stuff, you know. And she had the same feeling about my stuff. Oh, that's demonic. I'm like, and you're over the top, you know. For us to have the interactions that we did with an alien being who shocked me to ask me, why did I stop praying? Like, I hadn't announced that. And to have this so-called alien talk about, you know, Christ is who he says he is. Wow. Our God is your God. And spoke of things that were so biblical. I was like, what am I being faced with here? And I never thought, honestly, until a few years ago, that this being looked like a small child. I never thought cherub, angel, or something. But when he started speaking on things like that were obviously biblical, I said, hold on. And like matters of the soul and this war that we're in, spiritual warfare and all this stuff. I'm like, are you telling me that you're an angel or something? I'm like, what is this? And all he said was, we've been called a lot of things throughout time. Wow. And so, I mean, it's complicated, but then it's not, because it's like a common theme that's been going on for centuries now about this battle between good and evil and how we're stuck in the middle. So,
and it's seemingly in full force now. I mean, I'm with you, you know, I do protection, but it's really interesting because I find myself consciously doing what I do to, you know, protect and keep those entities at bay more and more often, you know, like if I'm in a big crowd of people. And so what do you think about the spiritual warfare that's going on right now?
I was told, again, this was like 1996. I wrote the book in 1997 about these beings. I was told that there would come a time that these creatures would be so widespread and at such a level, it wouldn't just be a possibility people would experience them. It would be a threat. It was going to happen. I know, because of what was shown to me, I know to be true for myself, and not just shown, but remembering. I got my memories back spontaneously. I haven't been successful with hypnosis. And walking in the middle of my living room with my college roommate sitting there, and all of a sudden I wasn't there anymore. And I was allowed to get my memories back, and agreeing to come here to talk about and warn people about this battle going on right now in this lifetime. And so nothing was happenstance. Nothing was a coincidence. It was meant to be. And to say what they are, and not like I have all the answers to everything in the universe, you know, but to translate what this being that presented itself to myself and my college roommate, I'll call Samantha, that these things come, we ourselves come from a light source, the source. I remember coming from the source. People will say, source without the in front of it, I don't know what they're speaking of. I know the source. I know because it is one, and then there's a dark source, and these things come from that. And they have essentially gone through the universe, dimensions, taking over different places, turning brother against brother, enslaving these beings to listen to the negative thing or devil sitting on their shoulder, whispering in their ear, saying, take a left instead of a right. And, it's so cliche. Like, are you saying there's an angel on one shoulder and a devil on the other? I'm like, essentially, yeah. And we're talking about, so the alien conversation about different alien beings. There's grays, there's reptilians, there's praying mantis, there's Nordic looking types, but they all seem to have similar interests. Like they're wanting to dig into our bodies and try to build other bodies and infiltrate and cause nightmares, see how we react to it. I couldn't understand what the heck was going on with that. It was explained to me that they are enslaved they are conquered beings from different places. And essentially, the best way to look at it is to call them possessed. Mm-hmm. To say that they're possessed, to say that they're controlled, and to say that shadow people are their puppeteer, shadow beings. But essentially, one in particular, the Hatman, is in charge of all of these efforts. Like, yeah, there's one, but there's others that are trained to act like him. But a rounding up of souls, of people, of land, of planets, of dimensions. And it sounds, again, it's like, this is biblical, it's like the devil's coming, and it bothered me at the time when I'm being told all this. I'm like, look, I put that stuff on a shelf. I'm not going to look in the Bible for this stuff. It was odd. But then to come back full circle and to be like, seeing an alien and saying, in Jesus' name, get away from me, and they left. I was like, why would beings from a so-called other planet recognize that force? So there's something to that helped me. That's the only thing that got me clear of these horrible creatures. I have no doubts in my faith and understanding. But I'll tell you, this is so bad of me. I mean, I was in college when I wrote this book, and I still had my doubts about this whole Christian thing. I knew Jesus was here, and he was said to, to return, and we have to say all of our prayers in his name. And I just thought he was more of a historical figure. I really didn't understand, and I'd seen so many odd things, from angels to aliens, and that just seemed more real to me. So when I was writing my book called The Secret War, The Heavens Speak of the Battle, I put in there that I thought people were mistaken angelic like beings, as I've seen them, for Jesus. Because I'm like, if Jesus were around, I think I would have seen him by now, because everything's flying in my face. And I just didn't believe he was back or anything. Because it was like, oh, he's in my piece of toast. It was ridiculous. Right. And so I was like, okay, whatever. And so I really bashed the idea that Jesus was around. And so again, I wrote this book in 97. And 2 months it took me. And I was in college. I just really needed to get this thing done. And it took me 4 years to get it published, because it's not like there's a lot of people looking for these types of books. Only other people that were in these fields were actually publishing these books. So I had sent them out to radio show hosts, to other authors. So they all had these, shadow people words out there, because I was trying to find a publisher. So when I finally, was about to get this thing published, well, I was getting close anyways. I was editing and waiting, and I bashed Jesus like really bad in the book. And and as I was waiting, I had an unexpected encounter with him that changed everything for me. And I thought, I'm weird enough. I have enough weird stuff in this book. But you know what? After seeing him, nothing else mattered. I really didn't care how people took it, how they would have absorb it. I did my best in fixing that part of the book where I bashed him and cleared up the air on it, and was just like, look, this happened to me. And he told me I need to finish writing this book and to not worry what other people say, but to know that he would be there to give me the words. And I took that one way, when I now better understand it meant a whole lot of other things. I was in a very tough program in college to become a therapist, and you had to have straight A's. You have to have pretty top notch, and I would not do presentations. I just wouldn't. So I'd make sure my other grades were really high, so my teacher wouldn't knock me down too much for never speaking in class, for never doing my presentation or my talks for class either. So when Jesus said that, I was like, oh, you're going to give me words? So before I did this show, before I've done any show, before I've done any presentation, I look to the heavens and I say, you promised me you'd give me the words. Now I'm holding you to it, because I have nothing to say. So it's like, to think, here I am. I had a UFO alien discussion group for 15 years. I'm known for the shadow people conversation and all these things. And my whole backing, my whole support system has been me going back to my roots, because Jesus had to come and knock me upside the head to wake me up, to say, I'm real, Heidi. Fix that part of your book and I'll be back. And he's come by a few extra times, and I ended up writing a book about that too, because again, nothing beats having such an experience. And it's, in fact, right now I'm writing book 2 to that, because it came back again, and a few, so I'm like, with some more icing on the cake. So yeah, so much to say.
So I imagine it could be very, personal and intimate. Is there anything that you can share with us about your interaction with Christ?
Yeah. Gosh, it's my favorite subject to talk about. So the first time I mean, it's just such an unexpected thing to ever have happen. Who wouldn't think he's around? I was in school, and had my college roommate. I had to come home and take a nap. I worked 5 a.m. to 12 noon. I'm telling my roommate, turn your TV down. I'm going to take a quick nap before I have to go to class. And I go to lay down on my bed. And you get comfortable to lay down on your bed or something. I went to lay down on it, and I missed and hit the floor. And I was like, boom. I'm like, oh man, how did I do that? And I'm like straightening myself up. I'm like, it's weird. And I'm looking around. I am not in my bedroom. Wow. And I'm like trying to figure out where I'm at. And I'm like, I'm on my parents' porch. I'm like, how did I get here? This is really crazy. And I remember searching my mind, like, why would I show up here? And I'm like, I knew I was going to meet a family friend. His name is Quincy. Yeah, Heidi, that's it. You just don't remember how you got here. And it was just so abrupt. And as I'm thinking this, my parents have a long driveway, and I see this man start to walk up the driveway. And I'm like, oh yeah, here comes Quincy now. Okay, you're not crazy. You're not crazy, And almost as immediately as I spotted this guy, recognition hit me, like, oh, and I just palmed my face. And I was like, he came up and he asked me a question as if he's going to talk about the weather, just so friendly. And he goes, hello. I'm like, hello, still palming my face. And he said, do you know who I am? If you knew who I was, you would not hesitate to say it. And I pull my hands away from my face, and I'm stuttering. I'm like, whoa, you're Jesus. And he said, yes, I am. And when I took my hands away from my face, I saw he'd risen up off the ground, and he had long off-white robes and shoulder-length hair, bright light coming from behind him where I couldn't make out his face. And he started talking about his life and how so much, needed to be done and what he was aiming for. And he's talking, right? And I'm my silly self going, oh my gosh, in my head. I'm like, this is really happening. That is really him. I was hitting my leg. I was pinching myself. And I'm like, he's here. He's here. And then I went to touch the ground next to me. And I'm like, why is the ground so close to me? And that's when I realized I'd fallen to my knees, and I didn't remember falling to my knees. And he's talking, right? And I'm looking down at the ground, touching it. And he gets quiet. And I'm like, I felt like a kid being caught in class, and I'm like, and I stutter again. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? And he said, first, you need to finish writing your book. Do not worry what other people say. Know that I'll be there to give you the words. And I'm just like, show us. I'm looking around. There's nobody else but him. And I'm like, is he talking about his daddy? What are we, so I knew he started to tell me something else, and I knew I wasn't supposed to hear this part. And he was really close to my face, like when he was telling me this part. And then I knew he had to go. And I'm like, ask him something, Heidi. Think of something quick, because he's leaving. And I'm like, hold on. What's my real name? I don't know where that came from, why I asked him that, but it was like, I don't know, like I hoped it would trigger a memory or something. And he laughed. Jesus laughed at me, everybody. Jesus laughed, and he said, I love you very much, Ilea. And he disappeared. And I was shocked that I woke up laying in my bed. I hadn't hit the floor. It was so profound. And I try to tell people the love tickles from this presence of him is so tremendous. I tell people I could have been blind and seen it was him. So, so
Powerful.
yeah.
Ilea.
Ilea, yeah. Like Iliya, something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
Ilea was a name that was used 2,000-3,000 years ago quite a bit. That was the female version of it. The male version was Elia, when you put an S at the end, Elias.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Elias. Okay.
Interesting. That's such
It's a spiritual name.
Yeah, my friend from Israel said it means something like, my Lord is my God, or my Lord is Yahweh. Yeah.
It's a beautiful story. Oh, thank you for sharing that. So
yeah.
Clearly you have work to do.
To say the least. And,
yeah,
go ahead.
Hang on a second. I see we're down at the bottom of the hour here. So for those of you that joined us late, we are talking with Heidi Hollis, and we are talking about spiritual beings, the Hatman, and other creatures, including her meeting with Yahshua Bet Halachme, or Jesus. That was an interesting one.
Nothing has beat that. I think back on the times that I've seen him. He's healed me of miraculous healings that have no explanation. And, everybody's like, why you? I'm like, why anybody? I think he's available and accessible to anyone, but I certainly wasn't looking for him when this happened. Yeah. And I think he saw I was a decent person about to make a horrible mistake because I'd bashed him so bad, and I just, I cringe, I'm like, I can't believe that. But, I had a really wild experience that, that was one, but I had one that I don't have any explanation for how these things happen. Talking to my college roommate, sitting on the living room couch, I got up to go use the restroom, no urgency. And as I'm walking and talking to her, I was no longer there. I just wasn't there. And all I could tell you is that my consciousness like shifted, and I'm in the middle of space. I know I'm in the center of space, and I see a spinning sun. And I saw trillions upon trillions of lights in this spinning sun, and each light was a soul. And I knew I was one of them. I was in this love soup of light and thoughts, ideas, goals, missions. Like it would spin through this light, and everybody contributed to the thought as it went by them, and it would go to the center and become one. And this thought came by of something that needed to be done here. And I want to tell you guys, I casually thought, that's something I could do. Oh, it was like everybody took a step back and said, she said she'd do it. I'm like, well, hold on here. What are we talking about? And I was immediately being pulled out of this warm love soup into ice cold space. And I mean, if I could have dug my nails into the corners of space, said, I'd take it back. I don't want to go. Like I was screaming it from my soul. And I went to go, and I'm a ball of light, and I saw myself going through this. It was like a wall of I don't know, particles and energy and whatnot. And I went to go get trained. And I know there were different like planets and whatnot. Not like I got specific memories of that, but the one that came up very prominent to me is a place that I still go to. And the best way that I could describe it is I call it the Crystal City. It looks like ancient Greek buildings, but they're made of crystal. And there's classes and whatnot. So I see this. Oh, and to the left of the light was a spinning red light, and I knew that was, I called it like a library of knowledge. Everything gets stored there, and so I get this whole memory back, and I felt like I had just tipped my forehead into this place, and then boom, I got to come back, and I'm standing in the middle of the living room in mid walk. And I come back and I just grab my head and I'm like, oh, how could I forget? How could I forget? How could I forget? And my friend's like, what, to use the bathroom? You never went. And I'm like, and I go to sit down. I'm like, how could I forget who I am and what I came here for? And then it was like, I was starting to analyze, I'm a student. I didn't come here to become a therapist. I got up to go grab my phone to go and cancel school, and my friend's like, whoa, hold on. I'm like, and it was just very much, I am late. I am so late. I have got to get on task. All the memories came back of my agreeing to why I came here, what I was here for, what I needed to do. And it was to discuss this negative presence that's here, to get people to build up their faith and confidence and understanding what these things wanted with us, and to understand the human potential and that God was real. Just so much was came back to me at that point. And since I got that memory back, I'm so driven. Like 99.9% of my day and thoughts and energy is like, what more can I do today to get people right? And people don't understand that drive, but I think the closest that I've seen about having that kind of drive is people that have had near-death experiences. I miss home. That was home. And I know I came here to get things done and go back home. And so after each book, I'm like, am I done yet? Did I finish? It's not like I want to die. I'm just like, it's heavy work. I love it. And I'm like, did I push the right button? Did I get the right thing done? And these past 4 years or so, I thought I was done. Holy man, I have been, the new book I'm writing on right now, I think is the most important thing I've ever written. And I think it blows the shadow people conversation and Hatman out of the water with importance. So,
Yeah, you talk about being done. I think you are like many of us. You will never be done before 3 weeks after doomsday.
right? Like, you're here for like
Yeah.
the whole show. You know
I,
it.
I will never retire. That would be boring.
Yeah.
We got to do the dream. We got to do what we like to do,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
enjoy it.
Yeah. It
Well,
drives.
I can't help but say that you are right on time, for
Yeah.
especially with everything that's going on right now, Heidi,
Yeah.
and I can't wait to read your books.
Oh, yeah. No, I appreciate it. It's interesting to me. Like, I know there is others here like me that was supposed to have come, you know, I just didn't know who they would be, right? And one of my friends sent me an image of this creature. And I'm like, well, what is that? I'm like, wow, who did such a great, it's a bust, like clay rendition of a creature. And I'm like, who did a perfect spot on head of Hatman? And my friend flipped out. She's like, what? It's like, she said, Heidi, Rudolf Steiner made that 100 years ago. That is called Ahriman. And he said 100 years from now, that presence would be stepping forward. And I still get chills because I'm like, I found you. I found another person that had this direct coming from this space that I was familiar with. And 100 years later, to come full circle for Rudolf Steiner, never heard of him before, anthroposophy, all that. And it's just been a whirlwind of information. So it's like you think that your destiny is your own, but it's absolutely intertwined with other people and their efforts. Yeah. And we stand on the shoulders of them. We stand on each other's shoulders. It's been mind-boggling, just mind-boggling.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I looked at one of your videos where you talk about there was a Hatman that was glowing. They were lit up, kind of. And another one, you talk about one where a Hatman was ran over by a car.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, I've had a lot of different stories sent to me over the years in regards to them with him showing up, I should say. He has very little limitations in where he'll try to go and where he tries to appear. And to clarify what he looks like, looks like a man in a three-piece suit with a gaucho hat or a top hat or no hat. Sometimes he changes his outfit up. Sometimes he could have pinstripes. Other times he looks like he's a shadow, blending in with a shadow, but you see he's a man. He is not a shadow person. He's not a shadow being. He is literally death itself. He is something so evil. And my understanding, Ahriman as well. He is something that is having been rumored to be coming at this time and traps souls. I've met so many people that are ghost hunters that are like, oh, you're just looking at the shadows of ghosts. I'm like, then you haven't met a shadow being and you haven't met Hatman. I said, but when you start hearing souls on your electronic voice phenomena say he's coming, that's Hatman they're fearing because he's the one controlling them, keeping them stuck where they're at. So it's this limitation of the souls.
Is there anybody that has done electronic communication with these? Like, like the Tesla spirit radio is one of them where you could talk interdimensionally.
I've known many people that have tried to do that, and I warn them, never try to reach out to these guys. I mean, that's, if you value your life, don't do it. Because it's a welcome invitation to hand your soul over. I can't tell you how many people have written me or people even that I know where they're like, look, I didn't try to commit suicide, but I woke up strapped down to a hospital bed and Hatman is sitting next to me saying, I was this close to having you. What is that? And almost verbatim, like I've heard that several times. So he's causing people to hurt themselves as well. And his favorite thing is to get people within an inch of so much fear that they wish they would die. And they're like, kill me already. And then he takes his fist and punches it through their chest and tries to pull their soul out. Every amount of abuse you can imagine he's done physically and spiritually and mentally, he's done it without going into details. It's graphic. Children, men, women, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
How can people keep themselves safe?
Yeah, that's important. I actually have it on my website. I don't charge people to know this is how you save your soul. There's no price tag, It's a method of, so something I want to point out before I say how you do it. If something keeps coming at you, I really want to know who you are, because they are terrified of you. They are so fearful of us that they come to us like a thief in the night, when not just nighttime to try to blend in with the darkness, but while we're sleeping in our dreams, and then they're whispering in our ear, you can't move, and then they paralyze you, and then they pin you down and try to talk you into so much fear that you cave and say, kill me. I mean, think about that. That's a whole lot of effort for one little person. And sometimes there's several of them in the room. So it's important to protect and bless your space yourself. You have to do it yourself. I'm Christian. I have a Christian method of blessing your room, your home. I have it on my website, HeidiHollis.com or shadowfolks.com. And it spells it out how to go each corner, everything, open every drawer, every door. And then keep your protection with you. I bless with my cross necklace, so I'm never without it, the blessing. Because they'll try to get you at work while you're driving. I mean, so there's and have no doubts. Have no doubts. All you need is the faith the size of a mustard seed, as Jesus said. That's all you need. Just believe that little bit, and you can move a mountain. So don't worry.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I think just that is so important right now, for so many people. I think so many people are being tested and like you said, pushed to the edge.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah, that you're here and that you are sharing through your books and through your podcasts and your shows.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I tell people I'd do this in my sleep if I could, and apparently I do. I've had the strangest things happen with over the years. Here's an element I've never heard of until a Catholic religion scholar told me what this was. I was getting people writing me emails saying, "Oh my gosh, you are real. You helped me with this or that." And over here, it was in their dream or it was in person, and they'd send their photos. And I'm like, "Oh, I do remember you. I don't always remember the story. And I don't know exactly how I appear, but and it was really confusing." And the religion scholar told me, "Well, Heidi, only the saints do that. That's called bilocation."
Yeah.
I'd never heard of it before. And that was just a few years ago. And I don't know, it's a lot of puzzling elements with all of this. So.
Oh, there's a lot of writing coming out of India from even 9,000 years ago where they talk about bilocation. So yeah, that's
Wow.
a real concept.
That's wild. And I know when it's happening. I don't always, but I know why I'm there when I'm there, but not prior. It's puzzling, but
yeah. I got a quick question though, and that is that personal to me actually, because I have people living in the house with me, and I can't see them, except out of the corner of the eye once in a while. I can see some tall person standing there, but they're not harmful. They have a sense of humor to it, because I can feel the joy sometimes. And I communicate with them and tell them, hey, you're living here too, so protect the place, make sure nothing bad happens.
Yeah.
Hopefully they listen. But are they all bad at the core, or could there be some disembodied entities that just hasn't found a way to go home?
Well, I think there's some confusion out there with what shadow people are. They were actually never people. Shadow people are shape shifting demonic things, but there are ghosts. If it looks like a person and it's not Hatman, it could be a spirit, and our peripheral vision is more sensitive to the differences between lights and dark. So I think that's why we can make things out that way. So it makes more sense. And it feels like a person with a sense of humor, because shadow people, they don't like to be spotted. And when they are, they might rush you or try to choke you. They're threatening. So I don't think those are shadow people. I think that might be a spirit or a different dimension peeking in.
Yeah. Well, this is an old house, and there are several people who died in this house. So chances are they're still hanging around, making sure things are okay.
Yeah, that happens.
All right.
Goodness. But I'm sure there's a lot of questions that people have. And, I had a group for a long time. I did a column for a long time. I do radio and television stuff. And I always welcome people. If you see me on social media, send me a question. Most of my social media is at one Heidi Hollis. I'll put a number one in front of my name, and HeidiHollis.com. And everybody's worried they're bothering me. I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm here for. Send me your questions. I mean, I think we have to remember we're here for each other. We shared the same space in the source at one point. We all come from God. And I think it's beautiful to know that we shared the same heart at one point. And we need to take care of each other. Don't encourage everybody's anxious for the end of the world. And I'm like, I'd like to think we're at a time of change, and good will win overall. Have faith. And if it happens now, we're going to lose too many people, too many souls. So we've got to keep working.
Yeah.
Augie, we're almost down to the end of our hour.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask Heidi your world famous question?
Yeah, I would. But first of all, Heidi, you have 8 books out there. There's only one problem, that I went to Amazon and I found 11 books with your name on it.
11. Oh.
How did that happen?
Well, the Secret War book, there's a second version. I updated it, and it's only as an ebook right now. I have to put the print book version out again. And there's another version of, I guess I'm a cartoonist as well. And there's a kid's book I did on the topic of faith. So I put a second one out on that. So there you have it.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. But
okay. Yeah. Talk about, you can find all your books on Amazon, for one thing.
Yeah.
Can they also get it on your website? Maybe they want a signed copy.
I stopped doing the signed copies because a lot of people like to pretend they didn't get it. And then I'm stuck with that. I'm like, no, it's okay. So if I'm at an event, that's where I'll do the book signings. But they can they go to my website and they'll see all the descriptions about the different beings and the books and all that. Okay. So yeah, most definitely. And again, it's like I welcome people to write me through the site. And also check out The Other F Word. That's for faith. TheOtherFword.com. And because I would get so many people writing me, they're like, okay, I don't get into that religious thing, but I just saw the devil. I'm like, that's a religious term, so throw a shoe at it then. You don't want to have anything protect you, So I'm like, people think they have to be so perfect in their faith. And I'm like, God knew we were flawed, but we have to be perfect with this one thing. It's impossible. So I thought I'd have fun being a cartoonist and did like Diary of a Wimpy Kid type books on the topic of faith. And it's been fun seeing people like build up their faith and have, another look at it instead of, I threw that away with my old shoes, it's silly. Yeah. It's silly. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. Gosh, I do have one more last question for you.
I'm here.
I didn't want to tell you because I wanted to blindside you on this one.
Okay.
If you could talk to the whole world and the world is listening, what would you tell them?
I would tell people that they have to stop living what they see and see what they live. Because we're so entertained by the thing in our hand, our phones, and we're not looking inward and recognizing that we have a soul. And that soul does go someplace else, and there are things fighting over it. And if we're not acknowledging we even have a soul, who's got the upper hand if these other beings can see it and see that it tastes good? Because they're absolutely after it. And, it's, and not to always think that it's the negative things that you've done that have attracted these things. 9 times out of 10, it's because you are a bright light, because you are gifted, and they're trying to control your future and limit the evolution of mankind. So we got this. Have no doubts. We got this.
Yep. Two takeaways right away. One of them, look within. That's where the answers are. And the second one, yes, we're not alone in the spiritual world either. So protect ourselves.
Yes, and you can hear in Congress having these congressional hearings about non-human entities and UFOs. And what did these whistleblowers say? These are interdimensional beings, not extra dimensionals. So what does that tell you? All that we're discussing here today is real. And I can tell you from firsthand accounts, including my own, people within the government with high positions seeking spiritual understanding because they're being attacked by some of these non-human things, and they're seeking God. They're seeking protection. They want to understand these, quote, tricksters is what they're calling them. Shadow people, Hatman. They don't want to use the words, but I know what they're talking about. I know what they're afraid of. So it's real.
Yep. They need it.
Yeah. Yeah, truly.
Okay, we're down to the end. So,
thank you.
Gosh, we appreciate you being with us. Thank you.
This has been a pleasure. I'm really grateful and thankful that to have been speaking to both of you and that we got this in. It was a long time coming.
Yes, so and you got a new book coming out shortly?
Yes, I do, and it's going to be a doozy. I probably will have to come back on to discuss it.
Let's absolutely do that.
For certain.
Sounds great. Okay, well, thank you very much. And for those of you out there watching, please subscribe. That'll help us a lot. And until next time, be good to each other.
Most definitely.
Thank you.